Hi, everyone. Welcome to Nom Watch Review, part of Nom Talk Network. On this show, we review the latest film drop or throwback celebrating a milestone while eating and drinking our favorite movies or snacks. I'm your host, Erric Ramirez, and I am I enjoyed a birria pizza, which if you've never had one, delicious, and some nice Mike's Red Freezes. They're new. They taste like popsicles, which is amazing. Um, Before we introduce our lovely, lovely guests, I just do want to say happy birthday, Q. Thank you for being here. And we love having you every time. But now on to our exciting guests. First, we have Yaya and we have Brian. Yaya, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I am back. Hello, everybody. I miss you guys. I am Yaya. Today, I am eating just vegetables and rice, and I am just enjoying some iced tea. And that's about it.
Nice, nice. And Brian, what are you doing?
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian. It's my first time here, and I'm so excited to do this. I had a snack of yogurt and nuts, and then it's gone. I ate it all. It's gone. I have absolutely no self-control, and I ate it all. And I did that. And I'm drinking some cranberry juice with sparkling water. And I have a series of liquor chocolates that are sitting next to me just in case we need it, because I know today's subject matter.
People sleep on them liquor chocolates. Those are delicious.
Mm-hmm.
These are fantastic.
Have to get them. But thank you guys. Welcome. We're going to have a little while talking about this amazing movie. Now we are talking about the 1975 cult classic, The Rocky Horror Picture Show. A lot of people have seen it. A lot of people enjoy it. Their shadow cast, everything like that. And so before we get into the real big meat of it, we're going to go for our popcorn ratings on what we think about this movie. Let's start with you, Brian. What would you rate this movie?
Well, I'm going to rate this movie 4 popcorns.
Okay.
It's a fantastic film. I love it. The music is great. We're going to get into why I like it so much more. But the second half of that film is the reason you didn't get that 5th one. It just there's a fumble, man. There's a fumble in there.
Okay. We'll get into that. Bring up some good topics. And Yaya, what do you think?
So I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It was very tentative between that or 5, but I chose 4.5 because for me personally, it's pacing. I love the movie again. It's so good. But for me, it's not always consistent with its pacing and keeping my attention.
I totally get that. Like you were saying, the total end of that movie kind of slows down and brings you out of it. For me personally, I am going to go with a 5. I was on a shadow cast for 6 years and watched it every weekend for 6 years. And people, like I said, will come after me if I get it any low wrong. I am going to ask you guys, what was your first encounter with Rocky Horror? Like, what did you think of it when you first saw it? How old were you? We'll start with you, Yaya.
Oh my gosh. So I think I watched it, I want to say probably in high school. I watched it in high school. Is when I was in theater and we're just going through binges of musical. And then I decided like, okay, everyone's talking about this. Everyone talks about it. Let's see what it is. Watched it. And I was like, I was blown. I thought it was amazing because, it's so different to like my favorite musical. My favorite musical is Phantom of the Opera. And when I watched this, I was like, wow, oh my God, this is so different, but it's so quirky. It's so interesting. It's like, the costuming, it was just, I was blown away. I was like speechless. I was just like, I did not know what to expect. I did not expect anything I saw in the film. And it was just really, really good. I remember watching, I was just like, this is crazy. My mom doesn't like it, of course, because she likes the classics, but I love it.
And what about you, Brian? When was the first time you came in contact with the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Oh, man. The first time I saw the film was my 17th birthday in high school. I got a bunch of my friends together. We went to the theater. We saw it. Cast was Sins of the Flesh at the New Art Theater. And we had like just surprisingly lenient parents. I don't know why. They were like, yeah, get dressed. Just don't tell anyone we're your parents. And so we would go, and it was, for a little young queer kid who was listening to a lot of punk rock at the time, that just shook me awake. They started, that particular cast starts every show with a Pink Floyd song, In the Flesh. And I was a huge Pink Floyd fan as well. So that kind of started, and it was just very adamantly, it just right out of the gate, it was just this interactive experience. I was like, I don't know what the hell I got myself into, but we're going for this ride. And it was just an instant love. I felt, the queer energy in that film, the punk rockness of the music, Meatloaf. It was everything about it just was screaming to me. So I kind of just kept going back over and over again.
Well, the first time I experienced it, I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. And it would come on VH1. So it was edited. You don't get to see a lot of the stuff, but it always intrigued me. And then in high school, about freshman year, I went to a new high school, and school was like, hey, come to the Rocky Horror Picture Show with me. I was like, okay, let's go. When is it? And she was like, it's at midnight. Will your parents let me go? And like you, I had very lenient parents. And went in my boxers and everything, and just the energy and the people and the way people brought you in was kind of like outcasts. And I think that's why this movie is as big as it is, and it is a cult classic, because all those people who felt like they were outcasts and everything could see themselves in this movie or just be a little weird, and it was okay. But then from there I went and did it for 6 years every weekend, and my parents allowed me to do that, which was, I don't know if it was good or bad, but I definitely grew a whole heck of a lot.
It's addictive. Those shows are just, the energy is unlike anything else.
Oh yeah. Plus you get in a little trouble when you go to, but we will talk about that later. Okay, so let's start into this movie. So we get into it, and there is your two main cast members, Brad and Janet. They're in Denton, Ohio for a wedding, and we introduced them for the first time. What did you guys think of Brad and Janet when we first meet them in Denton? Go ahead, Brad.
They're so innocent and kind of cocky in that sense that they have everything, and it's so easy to them, I don't know. They have just this air of nonchalance to them, this young naiveness, I guess. Yeah.
Nice. And you
kind of an asshole,
For me, when I first saw it, I remember saying that, oh my God, Brad is hot. Janet's hot too, but I don't know, it's different hotness. But I definitely, it was like very much, they were like the very like privileged suburban white couple, that like, just like the fact that they're like, oh my gosh, let's get married. Let's yes, would you marry me? They're like, yes, let's go find our old like professor and be like, and it's just kind of like, okay, very like plain Jane. Okay, for me personally, I think from the beginning I was very much like annoyed by Janet though. Yeah. I was very much like, oh my God, Janet, you need to quiet. I love it. It's especially like that part, like she's like, oh yeah, like she's with the, I don't know. For me, right off the bat, Janet, as much as I thought she was attractive, she just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And yeah, and we'll talk about it later on, but yeah, she definitely rubbed me the wrong way. And then I guess I felt very much justified towards the end. I'm like, I still don't like her.
Well, I mean, like you say it right on there. I'm sorry to interrupt, but in the first song, as soon as he gives her the ring, the first thing out of her mouth is, oh, it's nicer than Betty Monroe had. Mm-hmm. And it's like, she's just literally, the wedding just happened, and you're right. First off, she's like, oh, that looks like fun, let's do it. And then she's like, oh, this is nicer than that dumb broad over there. She's just selfish. Exactly. She's self-centered. She's like, you can't, like, I feel like she's borderline narcissistic. Okay. I think everybody in that movie is borderline narcissistic. Yes, but I was like, Brad, you could do better, Brad.
I mean, and then you get all the like shadow casting people who love this movie, to where they do the callback lines to where she is from the beginning of this movie referred to as a bitch. So through the rest of the movie, that's what they call her. So everybody, I felt like, agreed exactly right along with you two that she needed to calm it down. Mm-hmm. Before we get a little bit into this movie, I'm going to check the chat really quick. We do have some comments. Q-Ball says, hey, y'all, I'm so excited for this one. I'm eating cake and chocolate ice cream. That does sound delicious. I need to.
Absolutely should be eating cake. It's your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then GMB cosplays as I.
Hi, Ginger.
And says his popcorn rating for the night is 5 out of 5 for me. I love the acting, and I'm a musician, and I love the soundtrack. Yes, the acting was a little cheesy, but the pace of it keeps you glued to the screen. We'll get into that a little bit later towards the end, because I know, Brian, you had some reservations about the pacing. But after Denton, they're driving, they get in the rainstorm, and we get to see the castle for the first time and where they're going. And we meet Riff and Magenta and going to the time warp. Is that your favorite song of the movie, you two? Or what is your favorite song? Would you guys say? Go ahead, Yaya.
Oh no, what is my favorite song? Okay, I don't know. I think my favorite song definitely is, as much as I hate Janet, touch it, touch me. I don't know. That one, I just felt like that one's for me is really catchy. For me, it's that one. Of course, like Sweet Transvestite is really good too. That's like basically very close second. But for just some weird reason that even I don't understand, my favorite song is Touch It, Touch Me.
Okay. Brian?
That's such a good answer. It changes. I'm a Frankie fan. I'm, definitely like it's on there. So Sweet Transvestite's up there for me, but I always bounce back and forth between Sword of Damocles and the Floor Show. I love I'm Going Home. I think it's such a beautiful song that come out of just nowhere. In this, it's in such a ridiculous musical. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, nope, I completely agree with you. Most audiences have their picks and everything like that, but they also change the time warp a little bit. If you've ever seen More Than One Shadow Class, they add their own little touches to it. But we get into the movie. We meet a lot of our characters. We meet frank-n-futer, Curry, who doesn't name Curry, coming out with that cape and throwing it off in Sweet Transvestite, I think, is one of the most iconic moments in film, because I mean, it's Tim Curry. What do you guys think of him being the lead and the powerhouse of this movie? Go ahead, Brian.
He does carry the film in such a strong way. He's so good, and it's everything. The costumes, Sue Blaine's did such an amazing job at creating every character and making them so iconic. The way he carries himself, especially in that song, I feel like that's what's going on in everybody's head in their coming out story, is just like this Frank moment where they just throw everything off, like, this is who I am. And especially when you look into the story and see what's actually going on, is this whole like heroin addicted freaking mob guy that's this captain who's lost his way. Frank is really weak and vulnerable in a lot of ways that you just don't see, but at the front, right when he comes out, he's just nothing but balls to the walls awesomeness. Just confidence wrapped up in a G-string or a fishnets.
Fishnets. What about you, Yaya?
No, agreed. I think it's utter perfection. I don't know. For me, like, I love Tim Curry. Like, Tim Curry has been in a lot of my favorite films, and he's a lead in a lot of favorite films. And I just like think he exudes this energy, and it's just like he's like perfect. Like, sometimes like with like these type of characters, like the very more flamboyant and that kind of stuff. Sometimes an actor can't always portray and keep up with that energy. But I think like for me, like Tim Curry he just embodied that. He was so that comfort, that like his just like the way that he portrays it, the way that he flaunts it, the way that he adds to it and embodies it. I think Tim Curry is utter perfection for this role. And I agree with the whole like idea of like the coming out story. Like, it is very much, this is what everyone wants. Like when they come out, like when they actually take down that mask, like that social mask that they've been like holding up for so long. And oh my gosh, I don't know. I can like go for spiel for a very long time about like frank-n-futer, but I'm just like, yes, and as Brian said, like, this is like his confidence. And later on, the more you look at it, it's all a facade, but you don't realize until later on. And the way that he's keeping himself together by like this little thread in a way. And it's just, I love it. I love him. I love them. Oh my God.
Yeah. I completely have to agree with you both. Tim Curry in that role, just frank-n-futer's just power and his tenacity and just how he controls a room. Very fragile, but controls a room very well. What I was surprised to find out is that was one of Tim Curry's first roles he's ever done.
Wait, what?
Like having that power automatically in your first role, one of your first roles, is amazing and just shows what kind of star that he is.
Oh yeah, and he was doing that on stage at the Roxy. Most of the cast, almost everybody except for Barry Bostwick and Susan Sarandon, they hired for the movie. But like pretty much all of them were already doing this for a really long time on stage. So he really did also get to develop this character and spent time with Frank, you know. And if anything, that's really a testament to Barry and Susan, who were brought into this raw and created such realistic characters that just like everybody else who had so much more time to develop them.
Yeah. Speaking of other characters that we're going to touch base on really quickly as we're going through our movie, we are going to talk about Riff, Richard O'Brien, Magenta, Patricia Quinn, and Columbia, Nell Campbell. What did you think about that trio and just how they went through the movie? Go ahead, Yaya.
I'm eating. Hold on. Brian, I'm still chewing right now. Come here, show.
Go ahead.
I'll go first. You finish your food.
I know. Eat.
You eat, girl.
Okay. Thank you. Anyways. You go. Sorry. Okay. Go.
No, you go for it. We all watched you chew, girl. You share.
Oh my God, no. Okay.
Yeah, you in that moment. Finishing your food. Go ahead.
I guess for those who don't, haven't watched the movie, watched the musical, people don't know that Riff Raff and Magenta are siblings, but they're also a couple, which is very interesting. Well, it's very much hinted at, especially in the film.
Yeah.
It depends, of course, it does depend on production and whatever. But in the film, it's very much hinted at that, yes, they are siblings and they are a couple, and it's very interesting. And I feel like those two definitely have really good energy together. I feel like the two actors and everything. I like Riff Raff, but he's a butt. I have questionable taste in men. So that whole aesthetic calls to me. It really calls to me. And then so aesthetically, yes, he calls to me, but I'm just you're a butt. And I'm just I don't know if I should like you, but I do. And of course, for me, his singing voice and his I love the drastic change between his singing voice and his talking voice, especially when he did oh God, what was the main song? Time Warp. Oh my gosh. That first time he comes out singing Time, I was his voice is completely different, but I love that. And I love that. I love that sudden change. It's you can tell, it's I don't know. But anyways, personally, I know I'm going to probably get a little hate for this. I don't like Columbia. I don't, it's not even the character. I don't know. It's just so whiny and I hate it. And it reminds me of a little kid. And I think she's supposed to, I don't know. She just reminds me of the little kids I take care of. And then when she can't get the thing she wants, she starts whining and crying. And then she just wants more than she can bite and chew. And I just, again, it's not, I think my dislike for her kind of borders the same with Janet. It's just, she just really pisses me off. Anyways,
just
that's it.
With you.
Yes.
Just take him out, kill him.
Yes. It's please. Anyways, yes, that's my little spiel.
All right, Ryan.
I love him. Richard O'Brien wrote the dang thing. It's his love child. He did such a great job with it. It's so good, and they do the characters so well. I love Riff Raff. You're absolutely right. There's this weird attractiveness to him that I don't know what it is. He's sickly. It's kind of look like a skeleton with the skin falling off, but it's kind of his character's hot. Yeah, it's weird. No. Magenta, love her. Love Magenta. I'm all about, whenever I dress up as any character, 9 out of 10 times, it is Magenta. I love her.
It asks Magenta and Riff at the end of the movie when they're in the one
with the little banana on his head.
Yeah, it's that with the thing.
I love it.
It's just sexual power right there between the two. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
No, yeah, and they're at the beginning of the movie. That's Richard O'Brien singing.
Yes.
And that's Patricia Quinn's
Magenta's
lip.
voice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because she's saying it. Patricia Quinn sang that in the original show on the Rocky Horror Show. If you get the vinyl, if you get the recording, it's online. It's digital now, and you can hear her singing that. But they're just such a fantastic, tight knit group. They do so well together. I love the way that they act, and I love Columbia because I think she's not someone I have to interact with. Like, I think you're right. If I was in a room with her, I'd be like, "Bro, you got to sit down a bit much." But knowing that she can't jump out of the screen and yell at me makes me like her more. You know, like it's like going to a zoo and seeing the animals. Like, the lion is really cool, and I feel confident here because I know it's not going to eat me. But in the wild, it's different.
It's different. I have to say, I love the three of them. I love their interactions, like just how they play on each other with touch me when Patricia Quinn and Nell are sitting there playing with back and forth with each other. Where the elbow sex that people call it between Riff and Magenta, always great. I just think the power that they have in building, like you said, up these characters from when they were on stage to this movie is amazing because they had just that so much more attention and they could bring that and show us that. We're going to chat really quick. Cue Ball says, oh, we're going back to the songs that we talked about earlier. It was a tie between Sweet Transvestite and Dead Eddie's song in the middle of the film. And fun fact, he says, Jin Stangman wrote the song in the soundtrack for them. I actually just found out too that Time Warp was not in the original stage. It was added for the movie because they wanted to give it a little bit more oomph, and then they put it in the stage. So that was a little I did
not know that.
Yeah. No, I was watching some documentary and said that, and I was like, oh, well, that's one of the more popular songs that pretty much everybody knows. It's on Halloween soundtracks and everything, and that wasn't even an original song that he wrote.
I knew that he had written it for, like, as an addition when originally it was supposed to be like a 40-minute little tiny thing, and then it evolved as they were rehearsing it, and then he wrote that song just to give it a good dance number when they made it a full-length show. But I didn't know it came after the movie.
Well, it is a musical. Yeah, that's why he did it. I'm going to move on a little bit, and now we're going to get into Eddie, him coming out of the freezer and everything like that. What were your feelings about Eddie when he came out? Did you love his song? How did you feel about Frank killing him? What were your feelings? I'll start with you this time, Brian.
I, think what better to have happen when you're in the middle of this intense pseudo abduction alien thing than some random dude jumping out of a freezer and singing some old rock song. I mean, it's just the whole film that's based off of these older sci-fi films, to just have some random guy just come out of the freezer and just throw down such a great track. And I feel like Frank, I want to think that Frank kills him because he interrupted his song, but also because, it's a better song and he's jealous. And Meatloaf just brings so much to the character. I don't know if I'm sure you guys know this, but a little story is Meatloaf, when he first saw this and saw Sweet Transvestite, he walked out. He was gone. He's like, I'm not doing this. And he's just like, I'm not going to be a part of this. And then they talked him into it. He ends up being, on screen barely at all, but taking over one of the most iconic roles. And that's to be able to steal a show, an entire film in one scene is just, just shows his power.
Oh yeah, definitely. What did you feel about Meatloaf there and Eddie?
I love Meatloaf. And the funny thing is, the reason why I started listening to him was because of the song. Like, I was like, I love you, but I can't do that. Was that the song? Anyway.
Anything for love, yeah.
Anything for love, but I can't do that. Yeah. So that was actually the reason why I listened to his songs, because it has references to Phantom of the Opera. That's one reason. But so when I in high school and I was like looking through the cast, I'm like, oh, Meatloaf's in it. I'm like, okay, let's watch it. It's Meatloaf. And I was like waiting for him because, as I said, I had not read any synopsis, anything before prior to watching the film. And I was like, where is he? It's like cast somewhere in the background. And then he came out in like his motorcycle, and I was like, what? Mm-hmm. And it's so like out of it. It's just, I say it's unexpected. It was very just kind of like, what is going on? Like, who is this? And I've like from since then I've read a lot of like lore, like a lot of like fandom lore, how like, because it's confirmed that his half his brain is in, or his half his brain is in Rocky, right?
You split that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there are like, I've read a lot of like, lore and all the like fan conspiracies, like headcanons, like why he used like meatloaves and like his interaction, like, because like he has a previous relationship with Colombia. Like they were obviously together. And then like I've read like a lot of, I keep on repeating this. I'm sorry. I got hit in the head with a rock yesterday. Sorry, guys.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that.
No, go ahead, laugh. It's funny.
You're saying is you have a head injury just like that?
I do have a hitter just like Eddie. So I can't kind of like, oh. But like I read the conspiracy how like, because I'm sorry, frank-n-futer is kind of they get around. They get around. They slept with probably everybody in the So I've read the lore saying that like, oh, it could be like, he and like Eddie were in like relationship with like Columbia, maybe some weird pivot, maybe some weird like triangle thing and that kind of stuff. But that's like interesting thing to look up. Anyways, but I loved him. Sorry, I'm rambling. Head injury.
Even if you listen to a little bit later on in the movie when Columbia is yelling at him, she said, "No, from me to Eddie to like you can't keep anybody." So you were on the right track with that one. Speaking out, we're going a little bit back because I did skip him. Rocky, Peter Hinwood. What was your thought on Rocky? Go ahead.
Damn it, please lay it down.
Oh, yep. Go ahead and start. Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, he was really hard. He was like, the idea man. I'm like, Now as an adult, I'm kind of like, okay, not as much. But back then, as like a young little teenager who didn't know what she wanted, I was like, okay. I'm just like, I could not stop staring at them golden shorts. Like, oh my gosh. And funny thing is like, that's like his only role. And in the end, like he actually, after this, the actor started acting and he actually recently, a couple years ago, like sold those golden shorts in like a auction to like raise money for something. But I remember seeing this, I was like, oh, and I was like, by the same time, I was kind of like, okay, so this is back when I was like high school. Like, I was not, oh God, I don't know whether I can't see. Sorry, head injury. I was not very much like, hadn't really, self like, reflected, did not know that I was LGBTQ back then. So I was kind of like, what's going on? Why is frank-n-futer taking him to the bed? What is going on? What? And then so that threw like young Yaya's like head in the loop because I did not expect that either. But he was definitely eye candy. And now just like he's such a cute little puppy and I feel bad for him. That's it. That's all I can say. Sorry.
Go ahead, Brian. What were your thoughts on Rocky and like you said, sort of Damocles?
Yeah, dude, he's what can you say? He's Dr. Frankenstein's blow-up doll. I mean, right? Is that an accurate description?
That's very accurate. Yes.
He does he did a great job in that role. It's such a fun character. He's a day old, not even. And doesn't know a thing and is just like learning and he's just a toddler, just going through this world, just boom, given life out of nowhere and has to deal with frank-n-futer's libido. It's just a horrible place to be for anybody.
Oh my God, I just realized that.
That said, I mean, like me personally in high school, I was like, can make a sandwich, a little Frankie Rocky sandwich. I'll be the meat. That's fine. I loved it. But still, I think they're all still not like today, but like those characters. But gorgeous. Timeless, except for the Nixon speech. It's timeless. But no, it's so much fun, and he does such a great job. And what happens later on with his character, I think, is such a great character arc.
Last character we're going to touch back on before we jump back into the story. They jumped a little bit there. Dr. Scott and the Criminologist. What were your thoughts on Dr. Scott and the Criminologist? We'll start with you this time on, Brian.
Charles Gray, Criminologist, amazing. They filmed all that in one day. Phenomenal acting, minimal neck. You know, just that's a callback. If you guys haven't gone to see it, go watch it in the theater. And all of these stupid things I say make sense. I promise you, it does.
This movie.
But no, he's such a great narrator and just really gets the story going. And playing, you know, in the Shadowcast, playing with the Criminologist is probably one of the most fun things you can do. And as far as Dr. Scott, it's what a great character as well. You know, he ties Eddie back into it, and being the teacher, he's like an anchor that reminds you what the movie's supposed to be about. You know, like, oh yeah, they're going to go visit their teacher. Oh yeah, there was some dude in the freezer. Oh yeah, like this is a film and it's not unraveling into a million different things. But I just, you know, I love the Criminologist, Charles Gray, any day.
Yeah. And yeah.
Agree about the Criminologist. I really enjoyed him in the film. But me personally, I don't know. I did not like Dr. Scott. Yes. I don't know. I just did not really enjoy him as much. Definitely, as Brian said, he like ties in everything. Like he is the string that's like keeping everything connected. But at the same time, I don't know. It felt too much like the like, you know, usually when you have a lot of like hero and villain stories, like he's trying to portray, like he's like thinking that he's the hero trying to track down and spend his life like, you know, cracking down on the villain. And it's like, it kind of reminds me of like Div and Zim from Invader Zim kind of thing.
I thought of it like that.
100%.
Right.
Oh, my
Am
mind
I
is
wrong?
blown.
So it really reminds me of that. And then like because like in a way you're supposed to see him as the good guy. He's supposed to be like, you know, the good guy in that dynamic. It's like, you know, frank-n-futer is not supposed, because he's not being portrayed as a good guy. He's supposed to be the quote unquote villain. But I don't know. Like I did not like that. I did not like that whole like Dr. Scott trying to be like, yes, I'm spending my whole life like trying to unlearn your secrets, and then like my nephew ends up like in your grasp and that kind of stuff. I just did not enjoy this character. Actor did phenomenal, just did not like the character.
I have to agree with you. Dr. Scott is not my favorite. At the end of the movie, yes, he's my favorite, kicking his heels back and forth. That's always enjoyable to watch. But the Criminologist, always have fun, like you were saying, Brian. In the Shadowcast, you can just play with him and he plays with you. My partner was just saying that his favorite part of the Criminologist is the interaction he has in the time warp, and just how he starts it off with being like all bottled up and not really moving. By the end, he's on the desk just jumping back and forth, and he just loves that Charles Gray was so willing to just go in there and do that. So we're going to step back a little bit and go back into the movie because, like I said, we jumped into characters. So where we left off, we were in the time warp. We're seeing all the people who came to the party dancing around and everything like that. Time warps in. Brad and Janet are backing up towards the elevator, and we see frank-n-futer for the first time on his heels. What did you think of that entrance and how they played that in the movie and the directing of it? We'll start with you, Yaya.
I love that part because I think it's like I think they're really great tying in that him coming down in like his character. It's the anticipation. It is that, and it works very much towards the end of the song. It ties everything in, and it's just like, because okay, not gonna lie, when you first see him, because Tim Curry, as I love him, he's not the prettiest man, especially in that type of makeup. So you see him, and like my first was like kind of like, oh, who is this? And it was just like that, but then like he starts doing that, and it's like a completely different thing. I don't know, like I thought it was such a good way to intro this character. It's like you don't know who he is. He's in this like cloak. He's like super mysterious, and then like it's like, you know, his like just like his makeup. It's completely unexpected, and he goes into the song, and it's just it brings all this energy to like, you know, this part of the film. And then yes, I think I don't think I can say anything negative about like Tim Curry or frank-n-futer in this film at all. So just a heads up, everything I'm going to say about him is going to be like perfection. But yes. So yes, I thought it was great. I thought it was good to a great intro, a great like bring this character in without being like flamboyantly in from the minute he's just there. And then yeah.
What about you, Bram?
Yeah, I think you touched on something there. It's like he's not he doesn't act feminine. He just he just transcends this line of gender and clothing in a way that, you know, is arguably ahead of its time at the time. It's just exudes this, you know, at this moment everybody's waiting for, right? Like what's even going on in the movie at this point is that this couple stumbled into this alien lair where this commander is about to unveil their newest invention, and everyone at the party is, you know, the same alien, and they're just super excited to have all their people together. And so it's this moment that everybody else is anticipating and is super excited about, and the energy builds up in a way that's both exciting and also kind of scary because you don't know exactly what's happening. You just see these heels, you see the heels going down, and then, you know, it cuts to like Dracula with the giant collar up, and he just turns around and, you know, it's first words, how do you do? Like very unexpected. And it's just such a powerful, raw character. Tim Curry does such a great job. Tim Curry is pretty in everything. Tim Curry is pretty in this, pretty in Legend, pretty in Fern Gully. Tim Curry is pretty in everything. And just such a raw, emotional, just good time. I wish I had that energy 2 hours a day, you know?
I wish I had that body. I can't pull off an outfit like that.
Same.
See, it's not about the body, it's the confidence. It's the confidence. I've seen a lot of Franks in a lot of different shapes and sizes.
So bad.
Always looks good.
Oh yeah.
Always works out as long as they're confident about it.
So he comes down and, like you said, powerful. I always love the callback line once they start backing up and the audience just start yelling heels, heels, because they know what's happening. And he goes into Sweet Transvestite and completely takes over the room. And we get done with Sweet Transvestite, and they start taking clothes off of Brad and Janet and are like, "You're welcome to our party. Welcome." What did you think about that interaction when all the guests are leaving and they have no idea what's going on? Start with you, Brian.
Oh, too nice a job to rush, you know? You gotta, it's so great. No one else's clothes is coming off, by the way. It's just them. Like it's very clearly like everybody else gets to keep their cute little tuxedos and party hats on. These two are getting bare boned. And it's just such a, you know, everything happens so quickly, and you never really get a chance to catch up and not figure out what's going on. And the fact that you find out later is just because the dude's really horny. It's just even makes it even better, you know? It's just pure chaos and just convoluted confusion, and I love it.
Oh, I love every minute of it. What about you, Yaya?
So I did just say that this film, if you watch it the first time, you have to watch it several more times to really like absorb everything and understand everything. Because if you watch it the first time from a personal experience, you're not going to get it. So after now, I love that scene because like the whole idea, not just them like, you know, because the guy's horny, but it's in a way symbolism for their vulnerability. This is something completely out of their like social norm. Everything about them is still like, you know, like it's very suburban. Like, you know, you get married, your friends are like that. They're wearing like your friends are the type of people that like wear polos and like, you know, with like, you know, go to like, I don't know, play golf on Sunday, and that kind of stuff. And so for them, this is completely out of, they're scared. They're so uncomfortable. These are weird people. They're just dancing and then they're just in the middle of nowhere. Their tire has a flat in it. And I personally think that this is so great to, in a way, symbolize and embody that vulnerability that they must be feeling. And for them to stay like that, it's just like continuous. It's like, you know, and me personally, I think it's a great for like, you know, a viewer too, as being like that idea, like them not knowing what's going on and us not knowing what's going on. And then to continue that, it's like, in a way makes us feel uncomfortable because most of the time humans, we naturally have a very, when we're not clothed, when we're naked, we have that vulnerability, we have that fear. And so to see them constantly being in that state, it for me personally, it made me really uneasy and made like, oh my gosh, like I don't feel comfortable just as they don't feel comfortable. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Love how they interacted with them and then brought that right into the laboratory where Frank does his big speech and he creates Rocky and we meet Eddie and he does his whole number and everything like that. What did you think about that scene and all of those going on in that laboratory? What did you get your feelings from that? We'll start with you, Yaya.
I think like for me, this is one of the I'm gonna get this is kind of for me personally is like where the pacing for me personally that just started kind of like I just did not really like it suddenly I don't know. It's just really for me, which is really interesting. For me, pacing wise, I was just like, I did not know at the end, like at this part, like what I should be paying attention to. Like it still like kept my attention, but I just didn't know what was going on at this point in a way, other than, like, oh, creating Rocky, that's very obvious, like, the whole Frankenstein, like creation kind of thing. But in that, I don't know. Personally, like I was like okay with this part. This wasn't probably like other than that, oh my gosh. I am so sorry. But yeah, it's just pacing. I think for me, this part, and later on, of course, like this started the pacing issues for me that I was just kind of like, oh, okay, interesting.
Any thoughts on the stove type of thing?
Yeah, exactly. It was just like I just was a little bit overwhelmed. So I just Okay.
And what about you, Brian?
I think that I love that set. I think it looks so great. Everything in there is just so classic sci-fi, right? Like the pink, the weird levers, and the audience there for some weird reason, and just the lab coat, the way they dress him up, and the way the camera's moving when Brad and Janet first walk in, and it's just so in your face and great. I love the camera work up there, and it's sort of like I said, Sword of Damocles is one of my favorite songs. So I love Rocky's creation. The knobs thing is weird, but it's also, very sci-fi. I feel like a lot of that part of the movie can definitely work better on stage, and this works better on a stage. And but the way that they made it, I mean, it's one of those things that we're going to talk about the remakes, I'm sure, but like it was made right at the right time where the technology was just behind what they wanted to do in a way to make it work out, just be silly and fun and exciting. I think it has a lot of energy. You're right. Like the pacing does kind of stumble a little bit in that scene. They're there for a while, but it has so much energy you don't even notice it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I love the energy in that scene. I love all the audiences up there just dancing their heart out, enjoying and watching it. But going from this, we finally get Brad and Janet separated, and we go into the infamous sex scenes between Brad and frank-n-futer, Janet and frank-n-futer, and we move right along into Janet and Rocky. What did you think about how they played that little section of the movie and all the sex and the comedy and the callback lines, Brian, that you, I'm sure, know of?
Man. No, yeah, look, if you've never been to the Rocky Horror Picture Show midnight showing, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But that is the best part of any shadow cast, is those bedroom scenes. And what they do, if you've never seen it, at least the times that I go, is you put the sheets up and then you make, play with the silhouettes. It's just a lot of fun. And that's like the pacing of that part is just, that's when it goes like straight down, that's when you go outside for a cigarette. But I mean, that part is, there's moments in watching that movie as a shadow cast where it's like, this was made for me to yell something or do something stupid in the theater. And those scenes seem very deliberately designed to be just fun in the theater. So I love those scenes. Nothing to do with what's actually happening in those scenes, but it's one of my favorite parts.
Oh, what about you, Yaya?
So I thought that scene was really interesting. Definitely I was like, wow, Brad and Janet really gave in really easily. It's like they must have been really repressed to be like given so easily at that point. but I really liked it, especially now as an adult. It like, the whole like effortless of like them, like, we find out that, frank-n-futer is like this horny dog, and willing to sleep with everyone and everything. And love that. Because like, now as an adult, like now knowing what I am and who I am, it's like I like that. It's just, it seems so effortless for him just to be with someone. And then like the fact that like, like Brad and Janet, who is usually very straight tie and everything, gives in so easily too. Yes, Janet like regrets it later on, which is funny because we never see Brad regret it.
Enjoy it.
Now that I remember, if I remember correctly, I don't think we ever seen Brad regret it. It's only Janet being like, "Oh my god." I'm just like, well, you're the one that like decided to say yes first. I'm just saying. But anyway, so I actually really like it. I love how effortless it is at that point. Like it's, yes, there's just a lot of like, like sexuality in it, but at the same time, it doesn't feel that way. It's just very effortless. And that's what I really enjoyed about that scene for me personally.
Yes. I completely agree with you, Brian, and you, Yaya. The fun that they have in that scene. You definitely, if you are at a live show, go out and smoke at this point because you have a good like 15, 20-minute break that you can go get a drink or go smoke a cigarette. But it's fun what you can do with it, and the lighting of it, even though it was the same exact room, the way they lit it was great to show that. But after the whole bedroom scenes and the scene with Rocky, we go into dinner and we meet Dr. Scott. And then chaos ensues because one, they found out that everybody slept with each other. And so they go to dinner, you find out Eddie's dead, and then they run into, Janet runs into Rocky's arms and makes Frank super mad, and they chase him back into the lab. What do you think about that whole like sequence of like the chase scene and them getting angry? We'll start with you on this one, Yaya.
For me, I was like, okay, Frank, why are you so angry? You slept with her fiance. You can't say anything. Like, I guess, like, it's like, oh, your creation that, like, you felt like in a way you have, like, he's yours. But it's like, I was like, I don't know. I'm the type of person when I see like a horror movie, I hate the whole part where like the heroine's like running around screaming nonstop. And that was that for me. I think it's supposed to be like that. It's to be like the horror, like in a horror like movie thing, horror movie trope. But I don't know. I just could not stand that point because I was just like, please stop. It's like, I get it. Let's stop. And it's, I don't know. I think definitely for me, this was where the movie kind of just goes for me. It's like that thing towards the end. I'm just kind of like, oh, the fun part of like, it's just, yeah, for me, this part of the movie was just when I was just kind of like starting to, okay.
I completely see that, like with the scenes before it and everything, it kind of just drops the energy.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Brian? What did you think about this scene?
I think
show.
There's a couple of gems in there, right before the dinner scene when they find Rocky and
Janet.
And Janet. Oh my God, my brain. I think that rock hit me too.
I was about to be like,
like they finally got the Rocky, Brad, Dr. Scott, Rocky, Brad. It's just such a iconic scene. You get the birthday dinner, which is for Q, eating his cake and chocolate ice cream. That scene is for you. That scene is for you. Happy birthday. I love that that's a birthday party, and they slowly start realizing what's going on. And of course, he's the last one to realize that they're eating Eddie. It's so much fun. And then Damn It, Janet has got to be one of the most fun songs in that whole movie. And it didn't come to me when you asked earlier what our favorite songs are, because it's not on the soundtrack at all. If you look up the soundtrack, do it right now. Google, go on to Spotify, Apple Music, pull out your records. It's not on there. It's not on there. And it's one of the greatest songs that doesn't exist, right? It's so much fun. And again, it gets that callback with their legs freezing on the floor up in the laboratory. It's just a lot of good sci-fi fun all the way through. That kind of brings the energy back up that sends you into the floor show, just ending on such a high note. I feel like that's when it stops. The pacing kind of picks back up right around Damn It, Janet.
Yeah, the whole chase and everything picks up the for me as well. People come back for them from their cigarettes and everything like that. They know what's going to happen, that it's about to get exciting again. Before we go on to the floor show, at the end of this, Q Ball says Meatloaf just killed it. That's how Jim Steinman and Meatloaf met. In the following year, they recorded Bat Out of Hell and released in '77. I'm also loving Yaya's makeup and outfit.
Thank you, Q. Love you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Q. But now we're going into the infamous stage show where all of them have been frozen and positioned and dressed in boas and are on stage and do this fantastic number, Waking Up from the Medusa. What were your feelings about the stage show and Tim Curry's next song after that, where they kill him? Go ahead, Brad.
That's the highlight for me. It's the climax of the film. This is where everything is revealed. They're aliens, you know. This is everyone is like devout, like openly, like sharing their vulnerabilities in that beginning scene in Rose 10 Year World, you know. And it's just full of, it just unravels so quickly that it's kind of hard to dissect every song and everything that's going on. You know, you start with Rose Tip My World. That's very much just, you know, the four of them just grieving, right? It's everyone's lament. They're one by one. And then you get into Rose Tip My World, where it's Frank's turn, right? And he just lets it all out. He's just a toddler, right? Everything is mine, mine, mine. You know, give me rose tinted glasses because that's how I see the world, until he gets hit by the reality stick that is the mutiny. And that whole scene evolves so quickly that he realizes what's going on, and you see for the first time the actual like honesty in Frank's eyes when he's thinking, you know, I'm going home, thinking he's actually, you know, going to survive this thing. But it's, you know, it's the fall of the decadent, and you know, he built his own castle on indulgence, and when it comes collapsing down, it's pretty impressive. I love it.
And what about you, Yaya? The whole stage show, frank-n-futer last song, everything like that. What were your feelings about this?
This one I definitely agree with, like Brian. It's like that whole, especially with the whole frank-n-futer, the vulnerability of it. It's like this definitely, like, it rounds off his character so well, because throughout the film, like, you know, he's always been this, like, supposed to be like the strong figure. He's supposed to be like this untouchable character that, like, you know, as I said in the beginning, it's like that confidence in that first song, and then during that whole thing, he's controlling everything. He's the one in control. He is, like, you know, he like he plays an emperor, basically. That's all I usually like to say. Like, he plays an emperor very well. And then in that last song, that, like, you know, that fear, like, this is not something you expected out of him. And for him to be afraid, and for him to be like, it crashes down. And I think definitely this ending, like, if it weren't for this ending, I would not have loved frank-n-futer so much throughout the thing. Because, like, the first time I watched it, other than like that, like, as a character wise, like, you know, from just as a character, you're just kind of like, oh, he's egotistical. He's like, you know, trying to, it's like that. But you see this and you're just like, oh God, no, oh my God. Like, I legit, like, was so surprised when he died. Like, I did not expect that, especially from his character and from everything. I did not expect that him to end like that. And for him to be kind of end like being put down like a dog. Like, he was euthanized. And there was no like there was no, like, usually when you have these type of villains die, it's something like, you know, big. It's something like, you know, they, like, you know, explode and they have that final, like, you know, like, ha ha ha, like, you know, the kind of thing. But he didn't get that. It was just that the insignificance of his death, like how insignificant it felt, was so strong, and so, like, it was a huge weight on me personally.
Well, yeah, no, I definitely feel that. The end, him just laying in the pool, just floating there, always makes me so sad, because he just sings this wonderful 11 o'clock number of just like, this is how I feel, this is the world, and then they kill him. And they kill everybody else too. They kill Columbia, they kill Rocky. Like, everybody dies. But when we go from that and Magenta and Riff let Brad, Janet, and Dr. Scott go, in the UK version, there's a whole number after the foreshow and everything where they're watching the castle go up. I don't know if you guys have seen it. What were your guys' feelings about that? Go ahead, Brian.
Am I going first? Superheroes is a great song. It's why you should always put on the UK version.
Yeah, always.
It's so much fun. It's interesting. The whole castle like leaves. They're not on the first floor, and they're sitting on dirt. So like, is there a hatch in the castle? How did this castle be a spaceship and it had like no phone? There's a lot of unanswered questions in superheroes, but it's just this kind of great ending that just kind of rounds it up, right? Because we just experienced this whole thing that was an alien invasion, and we had no idea. We didn't even realize it until like 5 minutes ago. And then superheroes just gives you a chance to breathe a little epilogue. What are we going to do now? Life goes on. And I think it's a great little reminder about that.
Yep, agree with you completely. What about you, Yaya?
So I've never seen the UK version, so now I gotta go check it out. I'll go check it out.
Watch the UK version if you have the DVD, and there's a whole nother number at the end of it.
Okay.
Also, do you ever realize that they don't have their clothes back? Like, it's just, they're like in that floor show outfit, and Dr. Scott's lying there with 3 wheels to his wheelchair. And like, they eventually had to walk somewhere dressed like that in the 70s and try to explain to some small town Ohio, right? And they're just dressed like this, and eventually they're gonna have to go to some gas station and say like, "Hey, we need help."
Oh well,
it's awkward.
Whoa! Oh my god!
Oh yeah, it's great. But we're almost to the end of it, so I'm just gonna get what's your feelings of this movie? What you hope people in the future who watch this movie or who may have never seen this movie want, and what's your final thoughts about it all? We'll start with you, Yaya.
Like I said, even with the pacing and everything, I still adore this film. Oh my gosh. Don't ever watch that recording version that was on ABC. Was it ABC or whatever it was? NBC? Don't ever watch that. I'm sorry. Don't ever watch that. If you ever, unless you're going to see like a live show or whatever, always watch this film. Don't watch anything else. Okay. But, legit, no, as I said earlier, if you don't like this film, the first time you watch it, give it a couple more tries, because it is definitely something that a lot of it goes really quickly and it goes over your head sometimes, and you won't realize it until you watch it a couple more times. So, don't judge this film right off the bat the first time you watch it, because I guarantee the more you watch it, the more you're going to love this film and the more you're going to understand of it, and definitely just give it a couple more chances if you right off the bat did not like it.
And Brian, your final thoughts on this film and anything else you may want to say?
Go watch the movie. Go to a theater and watch the Shadowcast. Support the Shadowcast. Go watch the Rocky Horror Show if you can find it. It's such a fun show. This, for me personally, this film opened doors to so many other movies and so many other communities. It's like a Hedwig and the Angry Inch is something that I feel personally connected with. That this is what my shirt is, and I found that through Rocky. Clue through Rocky. Shock Treatment. If you like Rocky on the first go watch Shock Treatment. Otherwise, maybe not. Maybe that's another episode. But I just think everybody should. If you like horror, if you like musicals, if you like punk rock, if you like Meatloaf, go watch it. It's so much fun and interactive. The more you interact with it, the more fun it becomes for you.
Oh yeah, I have to completely agree. I recommend this to everybody. If they haven't seen it, if you go to a live audience, you are a virgin, and they will get you into the mood of the movie. But this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Initially, this brought me out of my shell and made me want to become more of an actor and more out there. But I love it completely. I do want to thank you guys both for being on tonight, Brian and Yaya. Let's go ahead and let people know where they can find you. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm going to go ahead and before I do that, just say that Laverne Cox should definitely be a frank-n-futer on stage on Broadway. Revive the show. Let her be Frank. She'd be amazing. That movie, the original film, is lightning in a bottle. They're never gonna do it again. Don't try. It's like The Crow. Just don't do it. Just let it rest. You can find me online on Instagram at Don't Scare Curly. Post a lot of pictures of food, plants, and myself. So if you like those things, come follow me. You can also follow my projects. Right now it's sleeping, but it's called Late Fright. It's a late night horror talk show. You can find that on Facebook and on YouTube at Late Fright with Unmundane.
And what about you, Yaya? Where can people find you out there?
Well, you can find me on Twitch at myhamachi. I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can also find me on YouTube. It is Jade Palace Yaya, where I make videos about Chinese culture, Chinese history, Chinese traditions, and all that fun stuff. And you can follow me at other social media, either at Jade Palace Yaya or at myhamachi.
Perfect. Well, that is all the time that we have for the Rocky Horror Picture Show today, guys. Thank you all for tuning in out there. Be sure to join our Discord and keep the conversation going, as well as going to subscribe to our platforms at Nom Talk Network. Nom Talk Review and Basic Vengeance are on podcast form. You can listen to wherever you get your podcasts. Stay tuned for our next show. Until then, I'm your host, Erric Ramirez. You can find me at Heartless7, and you have a nomorific day. Bye, guys.